So we retail products for people carrying medicines to manage serious life-threatening allergies and asthma and diabetes. And we also deliver emergency medicine training under new legislation to schools or any organisation who wants to be able to deliver, administer medicines to people in an emergency without prescription. So how did I end up with an e-commerce site? Well, I spent about the first 20 years of my working life working as a biomedical scientist in various hospitals, from James's to Tala to Limerick to Mayo University Hospital, and we have 4 kids, and one day one of them picked a peanut up off the floor and put it into her mouth, and within a few minutes started to have a very bad reaction. We could initially see the red swelling moving up her body and her eyes and mouth and face, and everything was swelling, so we could see that it was a serious reaction. So luckily we live about 3 kilometres from the hospital, so we drove into the hospital, but even by the time we left the house to get into the hospital, she wasn't responding, so she was just flopped forward in her seat, which was pretty scary at the time, so just abandoned the car outside the door of A&E and went in and put her up on the counter, so they were very good. And they brought her in straight away, and they gave her adrenaline, so, sorry for the cough, so what she was having was an anaphylactic reaction to peanut, which means their airways will close with difficulty breathing, and their blood pressure dropped, which was what was happening to her. So she went very pale, and when she was having a rash, but she went all floppy, which is a sign of blood pressure dropping. And the only way to stop an anaphylactic reaction is adrenaline. So they administered adrenaline in the hospital. So from that day forward, obviously she had to avoid nuts, but she also had to carry an adrenaline auto-injector, of which there are 4 types licensed for use in Ireland. And they all do the same thing, they administer an adrenaline, it's just different ways of doing it. So adrenaline then is heat sensitive, so there was a number of problems, I suppose, adjusting to this as a family. She has to have the adrenaline on her at all times, 24/7, 365 days of the year. It's heat sensitive, so you need to protect it. You can't leave it in a car or put it in the hold of a plane or leave it out in the sunshine. We found it difficult to get products. And then at the time she was small and she was a toddler, so like our whole life changed really, because every day, all aspects of your day involve food. So all the things that you take for granted, breakfast, dinner, lunch, became, reading labels constantly. Like normally when I'm going to do the food shop with 4 kids, a trolley would be full. First day, and Ashley was still in hospital, and I went to a supermarket that came out with 6 items that didn't say may contain traces of nuts. I mean, I've even seen them on water, on sweet potatoes, on orange juice. It's very, it takes a while to adjust to find foods that you can give her safely. And then, on top of that, everywhere you bring your child, all the other things you take for granted, parties, school, play school, you're depending on other people who are not trained medically to recognise the symptoms of an allergic reaction and that they would give the adrenaline. So we found it difficult to get products, so that is what led me to leaving my job as a biomedical scientist and setting up an e-commerce site. So for the first kind of year or 2, we were buying products online from Canada and Australia because they weren't available here. And most of the websites, some of them were selling adrenaline pen cases, and some of them were selling wristbands, and some of them were selling translation cards, but nobody was doing it all on the one website. So we decided we'd bring them all in kind of a marketplace, from makeup to cases to carry the medicine and keep them at the right temperature, to awareness products, little wristbands, little dresses, that say, I have food allergies, don't feed me without asking my parents. Simple things, when your child's running around at a sports day or a birthday party. And we also do a lot of blogging and content creation, because I suppose I've been doing this now for a number of years. Ashley is now 14, so we learned a lot of things along the way, so we like to share that, because there's not many supports really for people managing anaphylaxis in Ireland, so we just wanted to share all the things that we had learned along the way. So initially we were reselling other people's products, which, so we set up the e-commerce website, and we were thinking of designing our own products, but I guess the good thing when you're starting off first and you're reselling other people's products, you're bringing in revenue while you're going through, maybe designing something yourself in the background. You're building your customer database in your own field. You can see what sells well. You're building up customers that you can survey. And if there are any problems with brands, maybe that we would take on board, you can see the impact on brand reputation if there was a problem with a product. And in our case, because obviously if somebody's life is at risk, if there was ever issues with products, we would just, if there was anything more than a one-off, wouldn't sell the product, would remove it. Then I suppose, again, from our own experience of bringing my daughter to things like scout clubs or birthday parties, and we turn up and terrify some poor person and say, well, if she collapses or if she starts to swell, I want you to take the top off this and the bottom of it and stick it in her leg, and then go, is that okay? And there'd be loads of kids milling around, and some people were very good and took it on board. Other people were terrified and, maybe just wanted to invite her to the party or wanted to stay, which is fine. Or other people would say, no, there's no nuts in that, and then you'd end up rooting through people's bins for, the chocolate, if they had chocolate fountain, and they'd, say, contain nuts or something. So it was fun. So I guess the problem, there was lots of products on the market that were allowing people to carry adrenaline, but nobody was really addressing the problem of the fact that you're leaving your child constantly in other people's care who don't have the experience of anaphylaxis and might not recognise the symptoms on time. And I went to an anaphylaxis conference in Dublin a couple of years ago, and there was a lady presenting a study from one of the universities in England where they had looked at the ability of people to administer adrenaline correctly in an emergency, but they had no previous training. So they simulated emergencies in the university where the person's lying down on the ground and asked them to give an adrenaline auto-injector. And the figures were very worrying. As a biomedical scientist sitting there, it was interesting. As a parent, it was shocking. The worst pen, I think, was about 75% of people were getting it wrong, at 40% for two of them, and the best one was 13%. So we decided that I was going to try and address this. So I guess people were talking about design thinking earlier, and to put yourself in your customer's shoes. So I guess I was my own customer, but we still did focus groups with parents, with schools and clubs, because the school environment is different, and about 20% of all allergic reactions occur at schools, and again the teachers, they're not school nurses in Ireland, so you're depending on them again to recognise it and give adrenaline. And to come up with the solution. So really the problem is they need adrenaline on them all the time. They need it to be protected, and you need somebody to be able to recognise the symptoms and to administer the pen properly. So I'll show you the case that we developed in a minute. So you need to define the problem, define the solution and the value proposition. So what benefit are you going to bring to the customer? So obviously our aim is to prevent fatality at its most, obvious form, because if people get the adrenaline on time. And also to provide reassurance to parents when they're leaving their child off to a birth party or a creche or something, and to the creche owners that they can have these children safely in the creche and they can manage it, and to de-risk the care. To go and do your market research, obviously, before you develop the product. See, are there competitors? Competitors are good because it means there's a market. See what you can do better. Build a prototype, and you can use the prototype then to get feedback from your customers at different focus groups. So, like at the most basic level, we wanted to develop a case for schools and creches so that they could keep the medicines in the schools. So they won't take the risk that the child may not bring the adrenaline auto-injector with them. So schools and creches in Ireland would want you to leave a case in the school, usually in the staff room, with the child's emergency medicines. Building a prototype, start off at a very basic level with a cardboard box, but you still learn from, even having the cardboard box of what would work for ease of access, getting the medicines out. And So we started with the cardboard box, went to the black case, and ended up with the green case that you see on the shelf. So the case will keep the medicines at the correct temperature. It's obviously portable, stackable for schools, it's waterproof for nice Irish weather, so if they're going out in the rain playing football, you can leave it at the side of the pitch. And then it contains infographics that will show person what mild symptoms of an allergic reaction look like, where they would get antihistamine, and serious symptoms where they'd get adrenaline, and all the emergency contact information. But a lot of people advise, and I would say it's true, to get a minimum viable product out there, because the other speakers have referred to it. You might think that whatever your solution is, you really want to get your prototype, or get a product there that you can go back to focus groups and see, is this going to help your customers? And are they prepared to pay money for it? Is the price point that you can make it at a small business where you're not going to be making thousands and thousands of them, is it a viable price point? And it will save time and money. Now you can evaluate and test the design, confirm your production costs, get your customer feedback from the focus groups. And so these are kind of examples of where, if we didn't do a prototype, we'd ended up with a lot of those little black bottles. So we were developing a small case so that people could just carry a twin sample on their person, and people need to have liquid antihistamine for mild reactions, because they may not be able to swallow a tablet if their throat's starting to close over, so it's always recommended liquid antihistamine. So we just wanted to develop a little mini bottle with a white label on it, which somehow got lost in translation, even though we sent them out of illustrator file. And this was the sample that was produced with a black label. So we went back to, so it's always good to get a prototype and sample, or otherwise if you just ordered it straight off the bat, even if you think it's as simple as a small bottle, you paid your money and ended up with 1,000 of those, that can get you right there. And these are tags that we made as well, so that students could attach whatever, if they're carrying, teenagers would tend to carry them in knapsacks in secondary schools, so they could just add a tag to the pocket that they have it in. So the teachers are looking for the medicines in schools. Initially, when we were selling them as two different products, when they sent the first sample, they had stuck them back to back, so they were meant to be two-step ones. So it's basically always prototype. And then I guess even when we had done our cases for schools and cases for people, teenagers, that they could attach 2 pens to a rucksack, and then I got to think again, because they morph into, from these nice little teenagers or kids telling you they love you, to teenagers going, I'm not wearing that, and wearing very little when they go out to carry an adrenaline pen. So we're looking at that now, because it's my daughter is 14, and a lot of parents come to us, especially with boys, because they may not have pockets or bags. But even at that, my daughter, I would say, have a nice chain bag or something. She goes, nobody wears chain bags, Mom. So it's like, you got to put yourself in the customer's shoes. And that was one of the things that we did when we designed the green case. We had quite a big database of customers at that stage, so we surveyed them. We surveyed the parents first and asked them about different things, what they needed, again the price point, what features that they'd want, what colours, and then when we got that, we asked them, we sent surveys back and asked them if they had children, would they mind asking their son or daughter to fill in the survey. So we get quite different results, because the parents want a huge big medical sticker on the front of the case so everyone will know, and they want it in red, whereas the kids all wanted it discreet and no medical symbol, or but as a parent, if the kid won't wear it, doesn't like it, it's pointless selling it, or the parent buying it, because they won't use it. So it's important to even if your customer is a child, it's good to find their opinion of the product as well. So we're going to try and have a look at the team market next. So raising brand awareness, well, as a startup, everything on a budget. So we did things like networking, I guess, like today's event, or DMI Mayo, or those things in banks, or got invited up as a female entrepreneur up to Orson Neutron, which is very nice. Award ceremonies, which good again, because you get lots of local publicity. And I guess it's good if you're applying for things, if you're putting forward your business plan, or you're applying for grants with Leo Enterprise Ireland, if you've won awards. And I guess every time you fill in these application forms, it brings TV and print, and we, like, sometimes I've ended up on radio, Joe Duffy, and things might be just simple as, you know, somebody listening and saying, send me a text message going, they're talking about allergies at Joe Duffy, and I'll ring in, and sometimes it just puts it straight on air, or sometimes they might say, oh hey, that's very interesting, ring you back in a few weeks, they might ring you back in a few weeks and put you on. So we've ended up on TV3 as well, and that was me contacting them because there was a shortage of adrenaline auto-injectors in Ireland. You couldn't get them, they were all out of date, expired, so that was causing a problem for people, and a lot of parents were worried because they were switching adrenaline auto-injectors, so we contacted them and they covered the story. Print as well, I think, you know, you refer to it, I mean, if you get in touch with them, I mean, we'd often put forward, like, say, guest blogs for things like maybe school days already, or kids, parenting sites like managing allergies at birthday party or trick-or-treating at Halloween. There's nuts everywhere, and it's just different tips, and they might publish it. That was the Comic Telegraph, so we also deliver emergency medicine training, and a lot of the restaurants in Castlebar came on board and did emergency management of anaphylactic reaction in restaurant training, so that was good. I guess the biggest thing we did was went on Dragon's Den, so that was about 2 years ago. So that's me trying to look casual, but in reality I was there for about 15 minutes when he was taking pictures, and it was just really, and people were saying, somebody at work said to me, you look very relaxed, Anna, you're not worried, and I was going, worried? I was going, have you seen that film Pulp Fiction, where she gets, you know, stabbed with the adrenaline in the heart, and she goes, I was going, that's me in the middle of the night. I was just like waking up going, terrified, because, you know, you have to stand up in front of everybody, put all your business details out there, and then, you know, they quiz you for about an hour and condense it down to about 10 minutes and put it out on air, and you don't get to see it before it goes on air. But in the end, it was a good experience, and when I went into the room, you know, there was a lot of people in there, it didn't feel so much like that, and I think the Irish Dragons are nicer than maybe the UK ones are tougher. So Barry O'Sullivan came on board and invested, so that was good. And we got lots of brand awareness from that. We ended up in all the national newspapers and the radio stations, and we, you know, got a lot of word of mouth sales. And it's funny, even now, like 2 years later, sometimes when we had a trade show, people go, hey, you were that girl that was on Dragon's Den. So, you know, things like the Late Late Show, a lot of people see it, you know. So it was good. And then I guess social media is overlaps with raising brand awareness and getting to the market digitally. There's lots of different outlets, so I guess because it is time consuming if you're doing it yourself, so we're a small business myself and Kathy, there's two of us, but like if you're doing everything from accounts to putting out the orders to doing you know, our SEO on our websites to content creation and videos, it's very time consuming, so I think it's because there's so many channels, it's probably better to look at who's your target audience and where do they hang out on. So ours are still hanging out on Facebook for a while because most of our customers are female and parents of kids under 12, so they tend to be between 35 and 45. So we do Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, Pinterest. We don't really do WhatsApp and Snapchat a lot. The younger, we haven't really the time, I suppose, to do them all. So I guess you want to know what they hang out and what do you hope to achieve. So I guess we're using them to try and get to our audience to get sales. So we put a lot of content out there. You know, maybe it's coming to Valentine's Day now, like, you know, dating with allergies, which I guess people don't consider. You have a teenage daughter, she's going to a disco, they're all going around going, will you get with me, will you get with me? And then there's a box over there, stickers, you go, oh good God, you know. And, but, so there's, you know, we put a lot of content out there, and then obviously our products as well. So, and then, yeah, if you're going to get to the market digitally, you have to decide what platform. So we obviously went to the e-commerce website, so we're currently on a WordPress platform. There's Amazon, we're selling on Amazon, and we switched to fulfillment by Amazon, which is good because a lot of people filter by Amazon Prime, so it is dearer, but then they take quite a percentage, but they fulfill it for you, and we have seen an increase in sales just purely because of the fact that a lot of people when they're shopping on Amazon, we just filter by prime, so we get more sales. eBay, the same, Etsy, if you've got, arts, craftsy goods, there's lots of marketplaces out there. We have some resellers in other countries like Canada and Australia who are selling our cases on their websites, allergy websites. Affiliate schemes with charities and stuff where we will give a percentage back to them if if they send sales to us. And then you got to decide, are you going to drop ship, self-fulfill yourself, which is what we're currently doing, or third-party logistics, where if you're bigger, all your stock is in the warehouse and they send it all out for you. We have tried some drop shipping. It's okay with bigger, bulkier items, but sometimes you need to integrate it, software, good communication, because if you're selling it on your website and it goes out of stock on their website, then it's affecting your customer reputation. If the customer's bought the product and then you have to come back and go, oh well, actually, sorry, I can't get that for another month. So I kind of like doing it myself. So it depends. So the website, I guess, from not an expert, all this self-thought. So, but I guess from our own point of view, it needs to be user-friendly. It has to be mobile optimized nowadays because we can even see huge. It's all mobile now. For a while it was, half and half, desktop and mobile, and then maybe there was people going home and there was, scrolling on phones and going home and placing the order on desktops. But it's not even like that now. About 80% of the orders are just purely coming on phones. So it's just. I think the next generation are never going to allow desktops. It's got to be handheld, so it has to be. Speed has a big impact, so that your theme will affect speed. Who's hosting you, or some people specialise in WordPress hosting and can be faster. Whether you're on a cloud delivery network, so if you're selling worldwide, which we are, we've had sales in over 42 countries, and we do currency geolocation. So obviously the correct currency will come up depending on what part of the world you're in. But that's something we have to work on now this year, is because our site loads fine in Ireland, the UK, but further few places like Australia, it can be slower, and that'll impact on your sales. I think Amazon say, a 1 second reduction in speed would cost $1 billion or something in a year in sales, so it's really important. Search engine optimization, that your website will facilitate it, that it's secure, because there's nothing worse if website gets hacked. You definitely don't want that, so you want it to be secure, and you want a host that has daily backups. Staging sites are really good, like where if you could try something out on a staging environment, if it all looks good, then you just push it to the live site. That's really useful, and restore from backups if there is a problem. And I would say, just even from our own experience, everything you do, put the registrations in your own name. I know it sounds obvious, but if you go with someone and they start, registering your WordPress plugins in their name, and then if you switch to somebody else and all the licenses are in their name, so just everything really in your own name, the domain names, plugins, and I guess to think about if before you pick your domain name, is it available in the .ie, the .co.uk, the .com? You mightn't want them now, but you might want them in the future, and you don't want to put lots and lots of work building up something .ie and then think, oh, I go further and somebody else has the .com. And the same for your social media handles. Like you obviously want continuity across the brand, so that the Facebook and Twitter handle are available. So other things that we do, getting to the market digitally, we put a good bit of work into organic SEO because it's okay. So it's not free because it takes a lot of time, but it is the gift that keeps on giving. And a lot of people, ads are great, but a lot of people don't click on the ads. So you really need to be in the top 3 to get anywhere. So if you optimize your site properly and monitor where you're ranking and try and improve it. There's Google Shopping Feeds, which are the ones that come up with the little pictures, or Google AdWords. We had problems initially with Google AdWords, and that they wouldn't let us advertise because epinephrine is a drug, and even though we weren't selling the drug and we were selling cases, if there was EpiPen anywhere in the landing page of the URL, which they'd obviously have to be if it was an EpiPen case, we couldn't advertise. So Facebook, we get quite a lot of traffic from Facebook. It is harder, I've noticed since I've started. I started in about 2013, so you get much less organic reach than we used to. But you know, like we used to have about 25% of our traffic coming from Facebook. I mean, it's probably down. We probably have to pay for more of it now, but it's still where a lot of our customers are. So we do put a lot of work putting information out there and trying to, you know, get engagement with our customers. So yeah, so social media marketing, so again, it can be organic or paid for, and like Nicola said earlier, you know, to really look at your analytics. There's no point in spending a lot of money on Facebook ads. You really got to look at the return on the investment. I know it sounds obvious, but a lot of people run ads and they think, you know, I'm getting sales, but you have to cover the cost of the product, you have to cover the cost of the ad, the cost of shipping. So unless there's something left after that, you really want to be getting a minimum of 3 to 1 on whatever you're investing, you know, or otherwise you're not actually making a profit on running the ads. So it is all about looking at the insights and the analytics on the different platforms, and you know, Google Analytics decide what your, you know, are you looking at your abandoned cart rates, your abandoned checkout rates, your conversion rates, traffic to your website, and monitoring them every month, and your keywords, and trying to improve them. So content creation, blogging or e-zines or videos. I mean, you get a lot more traction online with videos. Facebook wants you to not, you know, upload YouTube videos. They want you to make your own videos, which again is time consuming. I mean, everybody says it takes 10 minutes, but in my experience, it takes a lot longer than 10 minutes. But you will get good traction from it. I mean, that's what I was talking about TV3 earlier, when there was a shortage of EpiPens in Ireland. So a lot of people were concerned because the different pens operate in different ways, and EpiPen got 90% of the market share, so people were concerned, would people know how to use the other ones? So I did a video showing how to use the 4 pens, and that got a lot of traction. I think got about 9,000 views, so organically, so within a few days. So that whereas if you just put a post with pictures and stuff, it's a lot more, yeah, to get difficult to get them. And last 2 slides is our favourite tools as a startup. So like Cheap and Cheerful, they're either free or nearly free. MailChimp is free. MailChimp marketing for the first 2,000 customers to send out email marketing campaigns. SurveyMonkey, if you're doing surveys, you're surveying your customers. Again, I think you don't have to pay unless you want to see the information from more than 100 of them. You can purchase it just for a month, so if you're doing surveys over, you know, 2 or 3 months, you can buy it for 3 months and then let it lapse. Canva is great for infographics on social media. Pixlr is good for photo editing. Pocket I find great for, you can, any publications that you want to keep, you can tag them. So if we were doing, say, allergic reactions on airplanes, you can tag them and keep all those in a, it's an online kind of just any publications and keep them all together. Asana for workflow management. Bitly for shortening and customizing your URLs. Filmora, so we mentioned, is good for making videos. Google Analytics. And then if you're upskilling, Facebook Blueprint is free, Google Digital Garage, DMI Mayo, Bio Enterprise Ireland are all running courses, and over here in the Innovation Hubs, they have the Empower program for Empower Her for female entrepreneurs, and Enterprise Ireland's New Frontiers.